And we're back with some Valhalla. Now let's serve some drinks. Thank you, Moister. With City 2070X AD, a city that shouldn't exist, a tax haven where criminal empires and corporations reign supreme. In this place, all human life has been infected with nanomachines to keep them in check, but where them stand the White Knights who ensure that a corrupt government's laws are obeyed. Here, brutality in all its forms is an everyday reality. The quality of life for the non-powerful decreases at an alarming rate. For many, this can be overwhelming. Some devote themselves to their jobs, families, or even their studies. Some look for ways to escape this place, and others just give up. But for many of them, the answer lies at the bottom of a glass. On a small road just seconds away from the main street, somewhere near the slums, you can find the VA-11 Hall A bar. But that's a mouthful, so we call it Valhalla. A small oasis in the middle of the concrete desert. A fountain of spirits waiting for tired souls. And it's here where this story unfolds. I modified the lighting a little bit, so like it's not I'm in complete darkness. You have no new reminders or notifications. Jill bought herself what she wanted and she's pleased with herself. She will surely focus at work. You can now use Nano Camo to customize your room. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to read this part. Augmented Eye. Alarms rise as the Apollo Trust Bank suffers terrorist attack. Updating. Hijack screens at downtown Casanova announced what seems to be a terrorist threat aimed at the Apollo Trust Bank. The information suggests that a currently unidentified bomber is already inside the building. The White Knights counterterrorism unit responded to the threat immediately. However, the bank was then locked down by an external network attack. We might be dealing with a dual threat here, CTO's Chloe Bauer told AE. The bank has been sealed shut using its own disaster prevention system. However, none of the terminals at the bank were working at the time. The building is basically sealed at this point. The hostages are trapped. Hope sales alright. The Augmented Eye is being attacked. Thank God I don't pay these fuckers for a sub. We take your security here at the Augmented Eye seriously. And we have the obligation to disclose the recent articles on Alice Rabbit were vandalized by who we think is Alice Rabbit themselves or a very good impersonator. We want to extend our apologies and inform that we'll be limiting our coverage of Alice Rabbit to just factual news and not entertainment pieces. Sincerely, the AE staff. Whoops, wrong one. This one. How long until someone says pollution is good? There's a book. Pollution to reach historic levels next year. Even though most countries in the world have adapted their economies to solve the ongoing problem of climate change, Glitch City still relies on ancient technologies in order to keep its costs low with profits high. As a result of this backwards policy, it seems as though we'll be experiencing a huge increase in air pollution next year. Our contamination levels will force the whole population to move away from a lot of areas within the city. The soil is dying at an alarming rate, as said experts in a report. Having to buy special raincoats and umbrellas does suck, but experts say you better get used to it. Oh god, no. Acid rain, what the fuck? Apollo Bank is getting attacked. And no one is reporting on it. Are you actually surprised? Considering the nature of their threat, it's clear that Quincy doesn't want to take the blame. What a fucking coward. Do we have any sources there? I'm posting from the site. It looks like someone's inside the bank with a huge bomb threatening to blow up the building. Any demands? They want Quincy to quit and the White Knights to disbanded. And the White Knights disbanded. Wow. So they're actually helping the protesters. That's not the way to help the people. What if this is just a huge false flag to blame the opposition? I wouldn't be surprised. This fucking place, lol. Let's wait for more info. May the gods guide Say to safety. A White Knight just beat me up. I'm fucking crying right now, let me tell you. Waiting for the OP to deliver. I'm here. Anyway, here goes. I was going home after buying groceries at the store. I was very tired because I had to line up for hours just to buy milk, and when I'm finally out of there, a group of 3 White Knights stopped me and started asking me for my ID, and also wanted to see my bag to check if I wasn't a scalper. And once they saw everything was in order, they asked me for a military service ID, and just... what the fuck? Why would I have that on me? And there's no enforced conscription anymore. It doesn't make sense, and because I didn't have it on me, they asked me for money, or else they'd plant drugs on me. I of course refused, but they lose their patience, and one of them hit me right in my temple with a gun. I was bleeding like crazy on the floor, so they just took my groceries and left. Holy shit, man, I fucking hate this place. I hate it so much. I want to leave this fucking hellhole. I'm tired of this shit every fucking day. That sounds a little too close to home. That sounds a little too realistic, personally. Just saying. I've been lucky to never have that problem with the White Knights, I guess. In 1 second, recalibrating. Alright, fixed. Alright, streaming channel thread. Did anyone else see last night's escapade? She was at the Valhalla bar. It was alright. Bartender was a cutie, but man, is she full of herself? Don't care. I'm going next week and gonna ask her for a date. We all know he won't. Pretty sure nobody here has the guts to ask someone out. Is she still sleeping? Yeah, the bartender's been telling everyone they need to be careful with their words, lol. I wonder if there's illegal activity going on there. Like, why would you need to be careful with what you say? Maybe they're just avoiding casual racism. True. It wouldn't be rare for them to do shady stuff. This fucking city, haha. At least she's sleeping now. Last time I saw her taking some rest was about a week ago. Crash is one hell of a drug. Oh, oh, okay. I get it now. Man, it sounds shady when they put it that way. Kinda does. But at the same time, you know, it's like, you know, it's just proper decorum, in my opinion. Like, hey, there's a camera here, and it's recording everything, so, you know, if you don't want nothing, like, used against you, in case, like, police come by or some shit, asking questions, you know, just saying. And then if they walk out that bar, hey, fair shake. Fair fucks to them. And then to find out she's potentially using Crash, which may be coke or meth in this game's universe. Last time I started taking some rest was about a week ago, and you're supposed to, yeah, and she's like trying to like stream her adventures 24/7. Like some adventures require like probably, yeah, some adventures would be like rest, finding a hotel to sleep at. That could be, you know, that could be content. No, wait, shut up. Alright, time for a shift at work. Saturday, December 17th. Good evening. Huh? I didn't expect you today. I was waiting for you to call and say you wouldn't be coming or something. Things at the Apollo Bank are getting ugly. That means more people will be looking for a drink. You can take a break, you know. You're quite the hard worker. And the streets are not exactly safe right now. They've never been when you get down to it. And besides, I can't afford to not come with the bar closing soon. I wonder if any bar has used impending closure as a means of getting their employees to work. Seems like the total opposite would happen. Not to mention I get bored out of my brains in my apartment, so I'd rather come here anyway. What did you say? Nothing important. Gil isn't back yet. Nope. I wouldn't worry too much about him though. If you say so. That girl's still here. Yep, she was sleeping so peacefully I felt bad about waking her up. So, would you mind doing that for me? Actually, yes, I mind. But you're the boss and it's kind of my fault she's here in the first place. Sorry about that. Hey young lady, sleep for another hour and we'll have to start charging you a motel fee. Oh god! Oh Jesus! Alright, that was loud. Where am I? Oh, right. Ah, the shouty downtown bar. Let's see. All my gear's in place. Neither my pants nor panties, shirt, or bra have been displaced. Oh, it's the flat bartender. Good morning. Good evening. Evening? Oh, well, it's the best night or day of sleep I've ever had in quite some time. Sorry for all the trouble I may have caused you today or last night. Don't worry. You're so nice, flat bartender. Thanks for taking care of me. Bye. Hello guys and gals, Streaming Chat's back in action with her batteries reloaded. Ah, the moon, it burns! The fuck? I feel like I've just unleashed something terrible into the world. Come on, it's not that bad. Say, what's this bottle? A bottle of absinthe I had at home. I went to have it appraised, but the guys said that without label, there's not much value to it. It's still a nice bottle of absinthe, though. I see. Are you gonna serve it today? It looks like the absinthe can be detected by the station's database, so it's not counterfeit. Canooterfeit. Canunterfeit. That's kind of funny. Nice typo video game. I'll serve it only if customers ask for it. Sounds good. Want me to serve you a glass of it? I'll pass. Absinthe's not my kind of thing. Well then, I'll be in my office. Careful with that thing. Alright. Okay then. Time to serve mix and change lives. Wait, that's not how it goes. No one here to retort. Man, it feels lonely without Gil here. I just hope the restlessness of the streets doesn't lead to dangerous or weird types coming in here. Oh, Jesus. Good evening. Holy shit, that was a record-breaking jinx. Welcome to Valhalla. What can I get you? Let's see. I'll have a green fairy. Green fairy? Blue fairy. Sorry, the absinthe bottle distracted me. Let's give this green a blue fairy? Sure. What? Oh. Shit. There we go. Here you go. Nice, yeah, this is the thing. So, how are you going? Oh, you can grab stuff. Should have figured as much. You can drink stuff. And eat. I have the same system that them do. Can I ask you something, Miss? Call me Taylor. Just Taylor. And yes, a cutie like you can ask me anything. Okay, Taylor. You have to be the first person I met that didn't just go, okay, just Taylor. Nah, too easy. You are a brain in a jar, right? I'm sure not a hologram of that, I'm sure. Yes, I'm a bona fide human brain in a jar. So, how? Why? What, does my handsomeness make you speechless? You're not something a girl sees every day, and that's saying quite a bit in these parts. Fear not, for I have a speech prepared for these situations. A speech? You're seeing one of the 5 great living bottled brains of the world. We are brains living in conditions that allow us to exist as any other humanoid creature. All while computers in our jar scan our activities in a slow but steady manner, but we are helping the world understand the inner workings of nature's most complex computer. I'm guessing you prepared that after being asked the same question too many times, huh? Not out of exasperation or anything like that, mind you. Just wanted to have something thoughtful prepared. Look, I even have a couple of pamphlets. You want one? Sure. What brings one of our world's 5 brains in jars to a place like this? Oh, I'm from around here, actually. I just wanted to take a walk for the first time in quite a bit of time. Have you come here before? Sadly, no. Otherwise, I'd remember a cute face like yours. Speaking of which, can I have your name? It's Jill. Jill? That's a really cute name. Thank you. Say, weren't you scared of going outside today? What with the commotion going on around and all? It didn't stop you from coming here either, did it? Yeah, you're right. That's gonna take more than creepy but ominous news to stop me. You're awfully energetic, did you know that? Sorry, does that bother you? No, not at all. Just that I figured a brain in a jar wouldn't be so happy. While I was alive, my body got to a point where there wasn't much I could do. This new state of existence allows me to accomplish more than I ever could before. Plus, I'm doing something that'll help people in the long run. I'm a prototype, as you can probably tell. Wouldn't you be happy? I wonder. Do you want to make me happy, Jill? Depends on what it takes. Don't worry. Just give me a beer. Alright then, yeah. I'll make you happy. 1 beer to make Taylor happy. How do you make beers again? One, two, 4. Here, a beer. Ah yes, no matter what happens, beer's always good. It's interesting though, just yesterday I was talking to a client about brain uploads. You were? Yeah, we were talking about how even if you upload your brain, you'd still be here. I thought about that too. Or I've thought about that too. Do you think that you in the cybernetic environment will feel like she was indeed transferred? Like, would she remember everything? Like waking up someplace else and so on? That's an interesting question. I was thinking earlier about how being able to transfer someone's brain into a Lilum One of the brains is being used in such an experiment, actually. They can make a functional Lilum. Unfortunately, the wiring and other such stuff makes it look more creepy than anything. They aren't transferring his identity or anything, though. Just wiring him to a body. Oh. You'd think someone would rather do that than float around and exposed in a jar. I have to admit, the whole brain thing does look creepy. But the body I'm telling you about is just uncanny looking. Speaking of uncanny, how did you feel when you saw yourself like this for the first time? It was quite a shock, actually. It didn't last too long, though. I was never too attached to my body. Later in my life, that was almost literal. You know what the downside to this body is? I can't get drunk. If you want to call that a downside. If you wanted to drink alcohol for the taste, there are many alternatives. Drunkenness is part of the whole experience. Why though? Lilum can get drunk with no problem. Yeah, but in their case, their brain's a computer attached to their body. Getting drunk causes their brains to reduce input speed to their bodies. Depending on the model, their drunk subroutine might throw in a different behavior cycle even. It's hard to get drunk when the whole point of you being in a jar is figuring out exactly how you work. Yeah, you're right. Hey, Jill! Oh, Alma. Just, oh, Alma? Where's the courtesy one would expect from plebeian bar staff? Welcome to Valhalla. What can I get you? Happy? Bitch? Not when you put it that way. Why, hello there, beautiful. Whoa! You hurt my feelings with that, darling. Sorry, you don't see disembodied brains every day. I mean, I did work as solder and Lilum maintenance, but even then, those were talking heads. Oh, don't worry about it. At least you're not running or fainting. Your name was Elmo, right? I'm Taylor. Nice to meet you, Taylor. Say, Alma, can I buy you a drink? Sorry, I only date people who are at least 50% organic and have at least one face. I know just what to strive for then. Just kidding. It'd make me happy to make you happy by buying you a drink. Does that bother you? I guess if Jill's the bartender, I don't have a problem with that. Awesome. I'll pay for your next drink then. What will you have? I'll have a Cobalt Velvet. And you, Taylor? I'm fine, actually. You're gonna have me drink alone? I don't want to drink that much. Okay then. Got 2, 3, and 5. Mix. Hell yeah. Your drink. Hope you enjoy it. You know, you've been nicer to me these past minutes than at least 3 guys have been in the last year. Judging from the way you two talk, I'm guessing you've been a client here for a while now, right? Only for about half a year or so, if memory serves me right. Really? One would think it's been longer. It feels like it's been longer. Shut up, you love me and you know it. So, you just started coming here and that was it? Well, the first time I came here, the other guys, speaking of which, where's Pablo? Gillian. Archimedes. Dunno, adventuring or something. Hang on a second. Alright. How to deal with a bug flying around. Because I know that shit was just gonna distract me. Dunno. Adventuring or something. Anyways, the other guy served me the first time I came here. Nothing unusual there. The next time I showed up, Jill here was the one serving and... I don't know. I feel like she just gets me. There's this chemistry, we click. We click, she says. The fact I feel more chemistry with her than many other people is kind of sad though. It's always good to see a nice friendship. Sadly, it's getting late and I've got to go. I'll leave you two lovely ladies alone. See ya. Bye. Please come again. That tailor shirt was nice. A bit weird at first though. A bit weird at first though. Apparently one of 5 brains being studied by scientists or something. There's a summary of it in this pamphlet. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've heard of them before. Can't believe I actually met one. Say, how many people are there in your family? Just curious. Well, aside from my mom and dad, we're 4 sisters and 1 brother. Funnily enough, we all have names that start with the first 5 letters in the alphabet. So you're the eldest one. No, I'm actually the middle kid. You're the middle kid, but your name starts with an A. Don't think too much about it. I never said the order reflected our ages. My sister Carlotta is the eldest one, and then there's Diana just before me. Then comes Eva, and at the bottom it lies Bella. I'm sorry. The youngest one is Bernardo. You've never been alone, I'm guessing. Can't complain about that, I guess. It helps we were never that we were never 5 in the same house. By the time Evita and Bernie were born, Diana and Carlotta had already moved. Speaking of family, today I came because I needed a break from everything that's been going on with them. Do you live with them? No, but Evita and Bernie do. Not to mention I visit them almost every day. Anyway, my second eldest sister Diana just separated from her husband. It's not even been a week, but she's already got some other guy in her bed. She left her kid with their husband's parents and pretty much forgot about them. Never mind the fact that they need to go to school and all that. Damn. Diana's life has always been messy, but these days she's been really making it big. She wants time for herself, to live her life. She didn't think about that when she married the guy at 20. She didn't think about that when marrying a guy she had only known for like 3 months. You should take your own advice. Hey, I'd never marry someone who could catch my attention so quickly, okay? Sure, that was that one time when it almost happened, but I blame the damn stadium kiss cam. Kiss cam? I was going out with that guy my little sister introduced to me. Seems he was her friend's brother or something. We went out a couple of times and he invited me to a basketball game. The mood was nice, but then later the kiss cam focused on us and instead of kissing me, he proposed. I almost got caught in the mood and accepted. Huh. So I take it you rejected him. In a stadium. On the fucking kiss cam. We went out for like 3 weeks. I don't know, maybe he wanted to get my pants with the old sex on the wedding night line. But I honest to God can't understand why he thought it would be a good idea. That sounds too convoluted, you know. Proposing and waiting for the wedding night just for sex. Never underestimate the lengths of man who's willing to go to get you in their bed. I've seen more convoluted plots over the years. I'm feeling tempted to ask, but I'll pass. Want anything else? What's that bottle? Some bottle of absinthe I found at home. It's unlabeled, so it's not that valuable. Do you know how to serve it? I'd usually need some kind of spoon to perch a cube of sugar, but station does all that for me. You want some absinthe then? Sure, let's try it. Oh, this is where the tea goes. Okay. Absinthe, pink green fairy, build tea. Careful, it's a strong drink. I'll tell you if it's strong or not. And indeed it is. Holy shit. Are you okay? I'll be fine. I've had worse in college. What did you do in college, by the way? Jaeger bombs, giant taco pizzas, a cute student teacher. We all did a cute student teacher at some point in college. I'm talking about studies, woman. I know, I'm a computer engineering dropout. Dropout? I was getting fed up with the whole make programs for other people thing. I see. Alright, now's my turn to ask questions. About what? What kind of family is your family? Well, I'm an only child. My mom and dad split amicably. My mom's a violinist, so she was always away from home with the orchestra. I spent most of my time with my dad, my aunt, and my grandpa. Aside from that, I'd say my childhood was quite uneventful. Huh. Didn't you get something like your mom's artistic vein or something? I played the violin until I was around 16, I think. What made you stop? I don't know. I just kind of said, that's it, and stopped one day. What about cousins or the rest of your family? I see very little of them, actually. Mainly because my dad moved away from most of them. Most of my mom's family live in France to boot. So your mom's French? Yep. Can you speak French? No, I cannot. Mon orguleux est plein d'anguilles. Ooh, what does that mean? Rubbish? I don't know, I can't speak French. I did try though, but college started and I stopped taking classes. Funny thing, I actually have a cousin from my mom's side that lives close by. But you'll be hard-pressed to make me spot him in a crowd. You're kinda lucky, you know. All of my mom's side of the family lives here. The chances of me meeting someone I'm related to on the street are ridiculously high. But yeah, that's the primer on my family. Nothing too interesting, sadly. Your mom's a French violinist, and you call that uninteresting? I'm wondering if your family has ever made a fuss about you being a hacker. Hacker makes it sound too exotic. It's like if I called you a mixologist. Please don't ever. Sounds like somebody would say to make bartender sound sophisticated. See? I mean, hacker is a good way to summarize it, but it's not the best. I'm a security consultant. People want to find flaws in the security of their systems, and I do my best to pinpoint where it breaks. Be it Glitch City or anywhere in the world, they need security. I'm their woman. You've told quite a few stories about cracking into databases to retrieve info like some sort of mercenary, though. That doesn't change the fact that hacker is not the best term to use. Makes the whole thing sound illegal when it's actually an honest job. Didn't you tell me once you secured some incriminating pics from a guy's cell phone? A mostly honest job? Sheesh. What made you become a hacker, by the way? I've always been a sucker for puzzles. Even as a kid, I always had a Sudoku or crossword with me. But at some point, they started feeling kind of samey. So when I started college, I took a course on system security. It felt like the kind of puzzle I was looking for. I mean, there are all kinds of things involved in breaching net security. You need to attack stuff from different angles. And it's something that's always evolving. The whole point of everything is to strengthen security. Every time you think you've got the gist of it, they change everything. So it's kind of like an always evolving puzzle. A puzzle I help make harder at that. Huh. I didn't think about it that way. It is less actiony than what movies make it up to be, though. No real-time frantic typing, nothing like that. Still, seeing my code break through something, it's an amazing feeling. Will you have anything else? Give me something non-alcoholic. I want to play it safe with the whole absinthe thing. Something without alcohol is simple enough. Yeah, sugar rush. No alcohol though. Here. I hope you haven't spiced up this one. Alma, please. Say, Jill, what's the worst that could happen if you don't get your drinks right? Well, people have the right to not give me money. If they don't pay for it, I don't get my bonus. No bonus means less money and no tips, which doesn't help because I have to pay bills. Oh, I see. Do you have to make an effort to pay your bills? Nope. You have no idea how much I hate you right now. Well, my job pays pretty well, and I'm not the kind to spend too much on things other than food and bills. Maybe maintenance on my hands and new equipment, but aside from that... Oh, I know. If you have trouble with your bills, why not live with me? We could be roommates. Dunno. Moving my stuff through the stairs will be because the elevator's broken. having to move my liquor collection. Never mind the fact that my cat's a shut-in that got very upset the one time I moved some furniture around. The idea of moving just gives me a headache. You shouldn't take things so seriously when I say them, you know. I don't, but I've thought about it before. Now I need some air. I'm gonna take my break. You wanna come? Are you inviting me to the back of the bar? You should invite me to dinner first. Every minute you waste making jokes is time taken for my break. Fine, let's go. Boss, I'm taking my break. Call me if anyone comes in. Sure, sure. Cold, 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 cold. Cold, 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 cold. I'll just run ads for this part really fast. It sure is chilly out there. It's kind of refreshing. The hobo out there seems like a nice guy. Billy Vine? Yeah, he's a cool guy. Very respectful. Apparently he got into some legal trouble and that's why he's like that. Really? He could also just be a very nice crackhead though. I have a cousin that lives like a hobo actually. Really? It's a bit complicated though. Problem is, his family has tried to get him to live with them, but his pride won't let him accept their help. He'd rather live on the streets for some reason. You can't tell with some people, sadly. Why did he become a hobo in the first place? Bad investments and debt. Bank evicted him from his house. Oh. It's a serious problem because he has epileptic attacks but refuses to take his medication. I just don't get what's up with him. Honey, some service here. I'm here, don't scream. Oh, were you two hanging out at the back of the bar? What kind of stuff were you doing? Just talking. Is that what they call it these days? What do you want? Something soft, something sweet, no alcohol, please. Wouldn't it be the same if you just grabbed a soda from the vending machine? But I like you. Aww. You dislike my presence so much. Sweet and non-alcoholic, you say. Alright. They used to actually sparkle, but too many complaints about skin problems made them redesign the drink without the sparkling. Damn. Here, like you asked. See, you don't get this kind of treatment from vending machines. Unless you're Lawrence. He has this weird taste that good service is the same as selling lukewarm cans of cola. Lawrence. A friend of mine. He's a vending machine. Oh. Oh, but how impolite of me. Hmm? I'm lovely, and my name's Dorothy. Dorothy Hayes. Nice to meet you. Oh, I'm Alma. Pleasure's mine. Dorothy, you say? Yup. Why? Nothing. I guess I've heard about you before. Really? What kind of stuff? Tell me. Tell me. Mostly about your, luckiness. And here I was thinking it's because I'm a sex worker. So much for trying to be subtle. Hey, I take pride in my job, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. Isn't it dangerous? I know how to take care of myself, thank you very much. Where do you work, Alma? I'm a hacker. Really? A full-fledged hacker? Not the kind that sees a computer logged into some account that says hacking, right? No, of course not. I've always been curious about how being a hacker works. Do you just start typing really fast while waiting for something to happen? No. I can explain, but I don't know if you'll get it. We won't know until you try, right? Last time I said that I had to jam the plastic replica of a halogen light bulb of a grown man's head. Really? What the fuck? All right. That's a lot of info there. Yeah, last time I said I had to jam the plastic replica of a halogen light bulb of a grown man's ass. It was a success. Ow. Okay then. Let me try to explain in general how it works. Let's say I have to retrieve information from a company's database. Alright. First, I do some research on the target, OS, servers, how the information is stored and all that. There have been a couple of occasions where I had to go in blind, but they're the exception rather than the rule. First, I secure things from my side. I start working behind proxies, websites, and through other more vulnerable computers I find on the way. After that, I start testing the networks. I go through the basic protocols, try known exploits as long as they don't trigger any alarm. Once I've tested the ground, the fun starts. I go through all the security protocols and look to bypass them. Sometimes I have to look deeper into the code for the password itself. I see. Then, when I'm finally in, I go and retrieve user privileges. After that, I go and try to become a super user to get what I need. How do you do that? Well, there are a couple of ways. I can use a pre-made program to hack into an existing account, and I can use info someone already gave me. But the usual way is using a buffer overflow. What happens next? What happens next? Oh my god, what is wrong with her? I create a backdoor in the system before leaving and covering my tracks. I can't handle it anymore. Alma, hack me like you've never hacked anything before. Eh? Make my buffer overflow, create a backdoor in me. Escalate your user privileges, find flaws in my security. Sorry, I got carried away. No shit. What happened? Have you seen those movies or books where a couple does something like paint a picture or cook, but they make it sound like they're having sex instead? Suggestive scenes, yeah. Well, that whole thing was kind of like that for me. Really? I guess humans don't really get it because their minds don't upload to networks or anything. But trust me, if you recorded yourself giving a really detailed explanation in a really sexy voice, you'd make millions. Horny Lillimore, an unexploited market. I see. Oh, looks like my ride is here. Your ride? Yep, my brother-in-law came to look for me. Is it alright to ask that from him? It's okay, I've known him since preschool. But it's just so happened he got married to my sister. Hey Dorothy, you need a ride? Can you drop me by the 3rd Street? Sure, it's on the way. Yay, I'll take your offer then. Bye, honey. Later, Jill. Take care. The street seems noisy. Oh, a client. Hello, welcome to Valhalla. What can I get? Oh, Jesus, who the fuck are you? One, who is he? And what the fuck is up with the question mark? And that loud fucking tie, brother. I don't think I can hear you over that tie. God, what fucking character does he remind me of? Shit. Oh, crap, and I've seen someone that looks like him before, but he looks like the fat version of them. Not like a fat Tanjiro. Shit. Crap, the name escapes me. Shit. Although, alternatively, he kind of looks like like adult Dib. If he never got famous. Did we never discover the existence of aliens? Such a small yet comfortable place. Truly an oasis of spiritual dreams in the midst of the suburban desert. A place where lost and corrupt souls gather to forget their troubles for a while. A nest where everyone from the most pathetic scum to the vilest trash junkie can sit to kill their insides. Truly a real persona non grata. That's the name for a mysterious place. By the way, I'm so smart and philosophical. No, that's not what that means. I know my legal speak, damn it. Alright, we got ourselves a persona non grata here. What will you have then? 17. Excuse me? I said 17. 7 plus teen. What? What does that mean? What does it mean to you? And just to be sure, 17 is about the drink you want, right? Only if you want it to be. Oh, great. Where do I get another item to just fucking launch this bitch out my fucking bar? Hello? How do I call the White Knights in here? $17, what the fuck does that mean? I mean, my guy could have just said he wanted a fucking Piano Man. Or at least fucking hit me with a Billy Joel. If you would have walked in and went la dee da da dee da da, I would probably would have gotten that immediately. Recalibrating. There we go. Calibrated. Alright, so I'm gonna assume this is what the guy wants. A number 17. Yeah, nobody expects the door at the Inquisition. Happy Valhalla month. What up, Arika? How you doing? Alright, just to double check. 2, 3, 5, 5, and 3. Ah, on the rocks are mixed. How is this a 17? It isn't. You only see, yeah, you said 17 would only be related to your drink if I thought it was, and I think it isn't. And I think it isn't. Oh, sorry. Hang on. It isn't. You said 17 would only be related to your drink if I thought it was. And I think it isn't. Oh, you subverted my expectations by taking me literally. Sneaky. And what brings you here, mister? I'm Armandio. Virgilio and Armandio. See, I introduced myself using the Asian order because it's a lot more polite. Right. I came here looking for an otherworldly experience. I was passing by and I saw this place is called Valhalla. I want to see the souls of resting warriors, the wounded spirits of noble souls. The golden hall full of never-ending banquets, the lively Valkyries looking over them. We have some arcade machines in the corner. Do you like Second Impact? I have a good Sean. There's also a KOF machine, and we have Marvel 1. I'm working on getting Marvel 2. Although we are going to close, so... No, you're taking me too literally. You see, I'm being poetic and giving myself a mystical air to mundane affair. I wanted to see drunk people, I wanted to see waitresses and food. I wanted to see the bar in all its decadent glory. Well, you're out of luck. Today's been quite a slow day. Not that I'm very surprised given how things have been going on in the streets, though. Humans are a nasty bunch, that much is true. Making a ruckus, coming at each other, but that's to be expected from the only mammal to kill its own. I'm no zoologist, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Oh yeah, then give me an example, not zoologist, bartender. Like I said, I don't know the exact details, I just know that isn't right. If memory serves me right, once a lion takes over a pride, every cub born from another lion is killed, or something. Ugh. Takes over a pride? You can't take over pride. Pride isn't a tangible thing. You need to stop making things up, not zoologist, bartender. But going back on topic, do you know what the number 17 means? No. The atomic number of chlorine. No, and Chloe is a name, not a number, you know. The group where halogens are stored in the periodic table? Stop making up words like halogens, periodic, and table. Okay then, I give up. 17 is us. Every human has 17 pairs of chromosomes. That number is the whole foundation of you and me. It's 23. What is? Or what is? Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, not 17. Well, they're both primal numbers, so it's the same idea. Primal. Do you want anything else? I'd like a single plum floating in perfume served in a man's hat. Okay. Wants a plum floating perfume in a... Son of a bitch. He wants a fedora with a fucking perfume. God damn it. I was wondering why the fuck that was here. But he's the one fucking character that orders it. Plum fume. Here. Huh. You didn't. Wait, you did. Enjoy. I will. I'll drink this perfume. You don't really have to. Yeah, that'd be silly if you win this round, bartender. Hey, bartender, have you ever thought about death? How? What if we're both already dead? Both of us. What? What tells you I even existed before I entered that door? How can you assure me that this reality is real and we're not in fact in heaven or hell all along? What if everything is made up to this point is just some stupid story written in an unemployed 20-something in his room? Hey, wait. I could punch you to make you feel reality. I don't care about any of that, actually. This reality is real for me, and that's all that matters. Such a closed-minded way of seeing things. You need to get away from the factual facts. Open your mind to things beyond your reach. Can I rip this thing off his forehead? Or is it a tattoo? You'll never reach enlightenment if you don't start. The habanera has started. It means the twilight of the gods in German, by the way. While you're on your own, bartender, enjoy your new world order. What? A couple of nearby cars exploded, it seems. Ah, hell. Let me take a look out the window. Be careful. I see lots of flashes in the distance. Most likely gunshots. Jill, come here a sec. What? Breaking. About 5 gigabytes of reports proving that several White Knight squads have been used to cover illegal actions were released to the public by an unknown anarchist group. We're receiving reports of several units going rogue and using their weapons to hunt down anyone they find on the street. Several counter-terrorism forces from neighboring cities have been dispatched in order to subdue the crazed units after a plea from the Vice President. We're still waiting for a declaration from Zaibatsu Corps CEO on the subject. Until then... things are ugly in and outside of that bank, it seems. I'd recommend you stay here tonight. It's too dangerous to even think about going outside. What if they break in? They won't. Even then, the bar has quite the security system. And I'll be here protecting you as an added bonus. Yeah, I guess I'll stay tonight. I'll get you the spare mattress I have. Do you mind sleeping in my office? No, I guess it's fine. Good. Let's hope everything gets solved by the morning. I'll have Zankanto on hand, just in case. A metal bat with nails. There's nothing it can't bash. Okay. Say, heal, 4. Hope everything's better by tomorrow. 2 mistakes? What the hell were my mistakes? Hey, wait a minute, I called bullshit. Yeah, then we find out why a man became a hobo. She has a cousin who's a hobo. Something soft, sweet, no alcohol. Oh, was that probably what my fucking mistake was? Oh, duh. Oh, fuck. Because I just don't have, yeah, I just don't have it in me to just keep serving the same fucking drink over and over. Although people would, understandably, probably different people would order the same shit. Yeah, that was my mistake. Yeah, that's actually a mistake here. Alright, that's fair, video game. One age mix. Here, like you asked. Oh, you know what? It's probably also that dude. Because, like, if you could read that dude's mind, what does he do? What does he say? Does he shit himself? Yeah, poor Dorothy. The idea of being hacked and having her shit stolen turns her on is kind of funny. You would think being unexpectedly manipulated would probably freak somebody out, man or machine. "17 is about the drink you want, right? And only if you want it to be." Like, ugh. Five plus 5 is 10, 12, 15. Yeah, 10, 12, 15, 18, 5, 10, 12, 15, 18. Because what if, yeah, what if it's like the drink that has like 17 parts to it? What if, yeah, what if he means that? Because he's trying to be cryptic, right? And I'm just like, alright, the number 17, like it's on the fucking menu. Yeah, because this one does 5, 10, 12, 15, 18. 5, 10, 12, 15, 18 as well. 10. Total of 10. 1, 2, 5, 8, 10. 10, 13. All that adds up to 10. That's just 4. 4, 5. Again, that's 10. 6. 3, 5, 9. 2, 4, 6, 10. Jesus. No, fuck it, I'll just give him this shit. Because what if dude's actually like one of those dumbass movie nuts? Yeah, 3 red, yellow, blue, and a light blue. No, how is this a 17? It isn't. Yeah, it says we're taking him literally. Fuck him. So skipping back to day 6 now. Rise and shine. Good morning. It's 11 a.m. though. That's morning for me on the weekends and any other day. How's everything outside? It's Still noisy, but forces have been deployed to take care of most of them at least. How so? Seibatsu Corps president is pleading with anyone to stop the rogue white knights. Neighboring city forces were deployed quickly and subdued most of the opposition. There have also been reports of white knights just freezing, like they were petrified somehow. You make it sound like some god suddenly decided to put everything in place. Well, I'm just glad no bullets are flying in and out of the whole building. Sure, there is still some bad apples out, but and it's not really safe yet, but it was worse last night. There also seemed to be a civilian force lynching any white knight they spot. So not only are the white knights a problem, regular folks are on edge too. I wonder if Sei is okay. Should be worried about Gil. That kid knows how to take care of himself. I'm sure that whatever it is that he's doing, he's safe. Dare I even say, maybe even safer where he is than here. I sure hope so. Are we gonna work today? Nah, things are too nasty right now. Let's take the Sunday off. Oh, alright. Say, you want me to help you get back to your apartment? Actually, yeah. I'd appreciate that. Okay then, let me lock things up and we'll go. We'll grab something for lunch on the way. Sounds good. And here we are. Home sweet home. Thanks a lot. Hey boss, wanna hang out for a bit? Hmm? Yeah, grab a beer, chill out for a bit. Mostly to thank you for helping me. Well, I don't have much to do anyway, so yeah, sure. I did tell you you should invite me to your apartment sometime, didn't I? Oh yeah, you did. What worries me a bit is that beer always leads to something else. To more beer? I was gonna say to one of us going through the Spanish announcer's table. Oh my god, I was watching wrestling stuff earlier today. Anyway. I was gonna say to one of us going through the Spanish announcer's table. But I think we're safe here. Come on in then. Excuse me. Want one? Sorry, I don't smoke. Don't mind me though, smoke if you wanna. Thanks. Say, how's the chilly weather treating you? It gets cold from time to time, but nothing the kotatsu and heater can't fix. Oh right, boss. You're not very good with the cold, are you? You know it. You didn't bring your jacket here either. Yeah, I left it at home when going to the bar yesterday. It wasn't that cold and I didn't expect to spend the night at the bar. Would you like a sweater or something? Oh, don't mind me. I insist. I have this hoodie from some time ago and it was too big for me. Why buy it then? It was dirt cheap. It was dirt cheap. Right. Wait, where did you get this one? Dunno. Some flea market ages ago. Why? Nothing. It's just like one I had many years ago. What happened to it? Too much use, it just ripped. I see. You can keep it if you want. I never use it anyway. We'll see. Come to think of it, how old are you, boss? I'm eternally 17. I feel called out. Fair enough. 17 plus how much? 17 plus I'd have to cut your tongue if you knew. Alright. Let me go change into something more comfortable. Take your time. cat. Doesn't fucking like her. Say, Jill, there's a blue-eyed mass of black fur glaring in my direction. Hmm? Oh, that's just 4. He's just wary of any new visitors. Cats will be cats, I guess. He'll warm up quickly, though. Just give him time. He's unusual looking. Blue eyes on a black cat. They usually have green. Yeah, weird, huh? At first I thought they were like that because he was small, but they never changed. Do you have any pets, boss? I got home, we had a bear. I see. What? Good old Bosco, he kept intruders away better than any dog. Right. This picture here isn't something you see every day. What? Me taking such a sappy pic? No, a framed picture on a printed paper. It's so vintage. So who are these? That's, the one on the right is Lenore, my ex-girlfriend. And the one on the left is Gabrielle, her sister. Huh. Is this pic recent, or...? Actually, that one's from 3 or 4 years ago. You look exactly the same. I'm only 27. What did you expect? That's why they say kids are the ones that get old. I thought it was recent because you don't usually see people displaying pictures of their exes so openly. Let alone a printed and framed one. Did you two break up on good terms then? You even hesitated a bit when calling her your ex. Let's just say that everything ended with both of us saying mean things. And me storming out of her house, breaking a couple things out on the way out. We never broke up formally, and I guess I still have feelings for her. I just went away. Haven't said a word since. Really? It's hard to picture you doing such a thing, and you look so happy in the pic. Why ever pick out like this then? I just couldn't get my mind off something like that Alma said to me. About missing having the warmth of someone else pressed against your side. Using them as a pillow, mixing your perfume with theirs. Putting your head in their chest, listening to their breathing as they pet your head. Dozing off knowing they're there, watching you, protecting you. I don't know, I felt nostalgic, then miserable. I'll just put this away. I've been meaning to apologize, but I feel like it's too late now. Whenever I go out, there's this fear in the back of my head that I'll meet her in the street. I just don't know if I could face her again, let alone talk to her. I'd be a mess. It's never too late to apologize, Jill. Maybe. What's that on the table? Looks like an envelope. It's nothing. Nothing. Now, please give that to me. Envelope? Alright. I saw nothing, don't worry. Anyway, let's grab some beers. Guide me. Beer so far, 0. Cans left, 12. But remaining beer, 100%. Damn, you have lots of beer. Goddamn right, I got a lot of beer. I'm gonna drink beer, drink some beer, drink more beer, drink another beer, even more beer. Well, the BTC gives me discounts and a point card every time I can use every time I buy their alcohol. With that, beer is actually the cheapest drink I can get. Is there any difference between the drinks at the bar and these? The drinks at the bar are more addictive, flavorful, and also stronger than the ones they sell in stores. And besides, the one in the bar is more of a double IPA, this is more of a Pilsner. In English, please. This one's lighter in color and lighter in flavor. Don't know. It doesn't taste like a lighter to me. Is this one made with that, what was the name of that base liquid you use at the bar again? Nutriogenic dichometrical lidogenol, or NDL. It was a supplement or something, right? It was an experimental fluid they created to replace water when the mating kiss polluted water supplies. Whoa, what? The effects of pollution turned out to be temporary, so NDL never went into mass production. But the BTC still commissioned it for use in bars. And is this one made with it? Let's see. Yep, here it is, near the end. NDL and cornstarch. Cornstarch? It serves as a stabilizer if I remember correctly. They need it for packaged drinks. I see. And I just realized something. What? You're a nerd, Jill. Guilty as charged. There's my alcohol collection if you feel like getting anything else. Those bottles over there? I can't afford a fancy fridge or whatever for them, so I have to put them in plain sight. I'm guessing if some authority on alcohol came in here, he'd stab me for crimes against beverages or something. Anyway, many of them are still drinkable. I could get you some of the absinthe I brought to the bar if you want. I'm not an Oscar Wilde kind of person, sadly. I'm more of a Theodore Roosevelt type of girl. I have a teddy bear in my closet, but I don't think you can drink it. No, that's not what I... Wait, you do? I'm not ashamed of Dr. Fluff, but it just so happens that I have a cat. And I don't want the bear's fillings spilled all over the place. Oh. Anyway. Alright, anyway, beer's fine. Don't worry. If you say so. Where did that collection come from anyways? Calling it a collection is too generous, I think. I got it from my grandpa. He made a will where the only thing stipulated was that I got them. Yeah, that's sweet. I've already downed some of it though, over the years though. Half of them have colored water instead of alcohol. I guess you need to be an expert or something to notice the difference. Yeah, I make sure the water's the right color though. Bottom line, if you want to taste anything from it, let me know. You're too kind. On a side note, it surprises me you kept that poster of me in your room. And even more that you hung it in plain sight. When I gave it to you, it was more or less a joke, you know. Does it make you uncomfortable? If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, why would it make me uncomfortable? It's my own face. I'm still wondering why you did it, though. Aside from filling an empty spot on the wall, I really don't know. I thought it was funny, too. I guess it's like if someone gave you, dunno, a dildo-shaped trophy or something, and you had it there as a conversation starter. Although no one comes here anyway, so it's kind of pointless. What? No steamy nights of passion? Not since a year ago, I think. I'd rather not talk about what happened then. Did someone hurt you? Because if they did, I can go dish out the pain. No, nothing of the sort. A different kind of mess. Uncomfortable mess, not being able to have sex for reasons mess. But no, you have my back, though. That's what friends are for. Wait, you talk about the poster and compare it to having a... You talk about the poster and compare it to having a dildo-shaped trophy. Did you just call me dildo face? That's what friends are for. Hey Jill, where'd you get that black 4-ball? Well, as with any black cat or house cat in general, he's actually a stray. I found him in the alleys near the building, not long after I moved here. I think. Oh, I see. It was quite the sight, though. He was cornered up by all these dogs, but they were keeping their distance. He was holding his ground, hissing and scratching as much as he could. There was a fried chicken bucket nearby that had some rainwater in it, so I threw the water over the dogs. They ran, and I figured the cat's mom was nearby, so I left. Then I noticed people looking in my direction as I walked. Turns out the little shit started following me. So you brought it home? At first I wanted to see if I could find him a new home. Having him welcome me whenever I came back was just too much for my heart, so he ended up staying. It was destiny. It was destiny, girl. When he came, he was so cute, though. Not like the fat mess that's sleeping on the table. Hey, you're not a spring chicken yourself, you know. Wait, how does Salem sound? Hey, you're not a spring chicken yourself, you know. Something like that, I think. I can't do Salem's voice. Oh. Shit, I actually do that in front of someone else. Oh. Anyway. Don't anyway me. Do you normally speak for your cat like that? Okay, so that's what it is. The cat serves as our subconscious. Maybe. I wonder if Gil's alright. You worried about him? You make it sound like I'm some emotionless robot. You can be hard to read. I wouldn't worry about Gil so much, though. There's 3 things I know for certain about him. First, he can take care of himself. Second, you can sincerely trust him. And third, he absolutely hates bell pepper. He does. I've seen him even reject food that's been in contact with it. Man, what a baby. Unless he's allergic or something. He's not. Man, what a baby. How did you meet such a guy? He showed up in the door of the bar. You what? Well, it was shortly after the whole incident with Robert and the levitation potion. Right, levitation potion. Oops. It was a slow day and he just showed up at the bar. I offered him a drink, but he said he didn't have any money on him. I couldn't leave him alone, so I pretty much gave the drinks for free. And after a couple, he broke down crying. Yeah, huh? I don't know what he did, but he was really regretting it. He wanted a second chance or whatever, and I told him if he could wash himself, I'd find him a job. And I'll be damned, he looked totally different the next day. Damn. I tried and failed to find out anything about him. So I decided to take him at face value. I'd judge him from what he did as an employee. And aside from the occasional sudden escapade, he's been as loyal gets. I returned the favor in kind, covering his ass from time to time, sometimes literally. It surprises me that you took him in so easily. I can take care of myself and I can always keep an eye on him. And besides, after the whole Robert thing, I couldn't ignore someone that I couldn't ignore someone that desperate so easily. I see. You made the bar more lively yourself, you know. How so? Well, with the regulars you've earned, of course. Like that blonde titty hacker, I can't remember her name. Alma. I was gonna say Armitage. Well, she's hot, I'll give her that much. She's also a nice person in general, but damn, she's hot. Are you alright, Jill? I'm fine, I've only had 5 beers. Why? It's weird to see you say so openly that someone's hot. What? Even when you can see that she has a hot body, boss. You'll find no objections here. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about taking her to her room and... Jill, you sure you aren't drunk? I am. I mean, I'm sure I'm not. I am. But those are thoughts I leave to myself. I don't think I could handle her in a relationship. She has weird standards. Then she's as straight gets. She's still a lovely person, though. That she became a regular is a blessing. Any regular is a blessing when you get down to it. There's also that sex worker robot girl. Dorothy. She intrigues me, though. I've seen lots of sex workers over the years, and she seems pretty giddy. It's not that she likes her job, but rather she takes to it with such childish excitement. I've kind of noticed that too, but then again, Lilim can be weird. You think? Lilim operate in some really foreign logic. I mean, they don't really share or fear of mortality. Even if their bodies are destroyed, their minds are already backed up in the collective source. If they lose an arm, they can reattach it or replace it. Depending on the circumstances, they might not even feel pain at all. It's not like they haven't attained human-like emotions like fear or love, but they are different. Like a different culture, if you must. I didn't see it that way. Aside from that, Dorothy is a DFC-72. It's a social interactions model or something. Lilim get positive reinforcement straight from their bodies if they're fulfilling their main purpose, so I'm guessing she gets a built-in push whenever she's in a meaningful or challenging social interaction. Interesting. The name Lilim is a bit weird, though. It is. You'd expect them to be called bots or dolls, but Lilim doesn't convey the image of automatons. Just a tip. Bots and dolls are considered slurs by them. Bot is akin to calling them retarded, and doll is like calling them fake. Thanks for the advice. That aside, do you know why they're called Lilim? As far as I know, because they all came from a bigger AI called Lilith, and the Lilim are Lilith's offspring in Jewish folklore. Ooh, cool. Hey, speaking of names, why don't you like being called by your full name? Because it sucks. No one will ever know my full name. Nor mine. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't act stupid. Back when you first transferred, I called you Julianne. You almost tore me a new one with your glare. See, like that. It's no big secret, but it's one of those things that feels silly when you say it out loud. Try me. Well, did you ever watch Model Warrior Julianne? Not all of it, but my little sister's a big fan of the reruns. Back when I was in elementary school, I was a huge fan of the show. I had everything, from the dolls to the costumes to the lunchboxes. It didn't help that it was one of those shows that got strapped literally everywhere. I saw a couple of episodes once. They were really nice. It was beyond nice. The show's about a model who can transform into an armor-clad magic knight. She fights demons born from greed and vanity. how the show presented Jules hating her job because it invited enemies, and yet still found solace in trying to be a role model. Hell, the main character wasn't a kid. Julianne was an adult that became younger when transformed. I'd say it was a pretty ambitious kids show, even by today's standards. Just the fact that her enemies were literally issues dealing with beauty standards of body image. Challenging as fuck. Whoa, you got excited there. And that is the problem. Back then I was obsessed with Jules. I sang the songs, dressed like her. I could even recite full chapters. Something tells me you still can. That's besides the point. It was while I was in elementary school, but then I went to middle school. And what a surprise, tweens are jackasses. They went out of their way to tease me about the things I did back then. I don't hold it against Jules. I always hold my grudge against those fuck jobs. Damn, sounds rough. You know how most girls worry about their thighs at that age. I worried about jerkasses singing the theme tune of the show, mocking me. Anyway, every time someone calls me Julianne or Jules, I instinctively react negatively. Pavlov would be proud of me. I never talk about it because I find the whole thing too silly in retrospect. And yet it affects you even today. There's nothing wrong with it though. It's actually kind of reasonable. I sure hope so. Come to think of it, what kind of kid were you, boss? When I was a toddler, I was the kind to always fight with kids bigger than me. Then puberty happened, and then I became the Merriam-Webster definition of shallow jerkwad. Around the time I turned 16, I realized what an idiot I was and went on to become who I am today. And the less I talk about those years from 12 to 15, the better. Fair enough. Say, boss, how do you like them men? 2D. 2D. Yes, and I don't mind anything as long as that thing is cute or 2D. How about you? Back in high school, I liked them funny. In college, I liked them successful. After a while, I just wanted them stable, and now... No? I... don't know. I stopped caring about them being funny. My high school boyfriend started conflating cheering me up with mocking me when I'm down. I also stopped caring about them being successful. I realized half the time they had no qualms about cheating with me or on me. And I stopped caring about them being stable. I realized they were the kind of person I was trying not to become. Not become stable? There was this guy who became so obsessed with holding a stable job that he hated, he started being physically ill. Not only that, the last time I managed to get some, I ended up throwing the guy out. He took incredible offense with how I smoked on the bed after sex. The bed could catch fire, you know. Not you too. I kinda envy Elena for that. At least when she dumps a guy, it's for less petty reasons. Are you okay? I'm fine. It's just... it all boils down to the fact I can't get my mind off Lenore lately. Lenore! I just realized I could have made that joke a long time ago. She was all of what I just said. She made me laugh, she had a good position, and was stable. She was also smart, caring, and why I can't I get my mind off the whole thing. It's maddening. Maybe I should go and apologize. Maybe I should. Maybe that'll make me rest easier at night. Get my mind off things for a while. I don't even care about going back to her, but Hey Jill, have you tried thinking about clothes for 4? Clothes for... Heh. Listen, I know how you must feel, but you can't let all of that cloud your senses. Next time you feel overwhelmed by those thoughts, try distracting yourself. Like with, say, thinking of what kind of clothes you can put on 4. Yeah. You know, boss, I'm a bit curious about your circle of friends. What kind of people do you have in it? Keep in mind, you're included in this circle too, so any insults you hurl will apply right back to you. Anyway, I have this friend I've known for a long time. A red-headed, glasses-wearing gun nut called Iris. The one you called for the helmet thing. That one. She's managing a BTC bar in Panama right now, if I remember correctly. She's managing a bar too. I got the idea from her, actually. Oh. It's called N1RV and A. And if you thought this city was dangerous. Anyway, it's called Nirvana. You wanna go? They named it after the band. Hang on, more water. Anyway, it's called Nirvana, and if you thought this city was dangerous, you should see the people she has to deal with there. Piracy ain't nothing to fuck with. And means it's an annex to another business. What else does she do there? I think the bar was originally her hotel's bar. She moved the bar to its own building elsewhere and opened Nirvan B in the hotel instead. Weird decision. Weird decision. I believe she said she wanted a place away from the noisy rich tourists that go to the hotel. So that bar is her woman. So that bar is her woman cave. Woman cave. That aside, let's see. Friends. I guess there's also my little sister, but that's a given. Oh, there's my old partner from when I was with the Neo San Francisco police force. Good old Lexi. Should give her a call sometime. Wait, you were in the what? I've done lots of things, Jill. I spent a short time collaborating with the police force. I've been a wrestler, an MMA fighter, chimney cleaner, lumberjack, pet shop attendant, corporate mascot. Corporate what? I still see my face on some websites from time to time. Anyways, aside from you, Gil, my sis, Iris, Lexi, I guess there are a lot of people that don't want to see me in harm's way. Mostly because they're the ones that want to hurt me. What? I guess there's a lot of people that don't want to see me in harm's way. Mostly because they're the ones that want to hurt me. Right. Yeah, you're not gonna end this girl's fucking career. I am. What about you? I guess I have acquaintances here and there. Back at home in college, I went out a lot. But it felt more like going out was a pleasure rather than the people involved. Aside from you and Gil, my closest friend since moving here is Alma. Oh, and Dorothy. I mean, sure, there's always four, but that cat's a hermit that refuses to go out. And, you know, he's a cat. Hey, a cat's fine too, you know. Okay, boss, I have to know. About what? About your arm. I'd rather not talk about it. Come on, I want to know how you got it. Fine. Yes? I had to use a couple of favors to get it. I accepted no less than state-of-the-art tech. That's how I got it. That's technically correct, but come on. Why do you want to know how I got it? I just want to know more about you. You're always so cool and awesome, and can you at least tell me if it does something cool? It does have a couple of utilities installed, yeah. There's an HDD in the forearm I use to save assorted data. It has a flashlight and a clock, but many prosthetic arms have those nowadays, kind of like watches. How did you feel when you lost it? To be honest, I was sad, but I was also satisfied. Yeah, I lost my dominant arm, but its sacrifice helped a bigger purpose. If I had to lose another limb to accomplish such a thing again, I'd totally do it. But of course, I just hope it doesn't come to that ever again. Now you're just teasing me. You'll hear nothing else from me, young lady. Should I finish those last beers? Because I feel like now this is the end. Oh no, never mind. Chapter 2. This is gonna be a long game. Let's go. Your electricity bill will be sent out on the 24th. Please make sure you have the $8,000 needed. Shit. Jill is curious about a Daruma she saw. Getting her will prevent her from becoming too distracted. Have a nice day. Oh, boss left the hoodie anyway. Okay, so I have 2,000 right now. I need to save up 6. I need 6K. Jill bought herself what she wanted, and she's pleased with herself. Oh, and there's the Daruma. It's up here. Yeah, right in front of the best boss in the world. How dare you? How dare you, Jill? Come on. Danger Use admin has been arrested. Nanokama is now making smart whatever. GSF January 4th card. Excuse me. GSF January 4th card announced 66 American Kid and Giant Yusuke headlining. The blood feud between Giant Yusuke and 66 American Kid will reach its climax this January 4th at the annual GSF Dome event. But it's not the only match of the night. Oh, wrestling. Other interesting bouts featured great workers such as the Great DK and Arentz. Full card below. Red Comet Jr. Hey, wait a minute. Alright, this is where we're gonna meet. This is where we're gonna meet Dana's sister, no? Dana was Red Comet before, and now you have Red Comet Jr.? Alright, so Nagisa for the Women's Championship, Akito versus the Great DK. Roy Campbell, no, good shit, I like that. Roy Campbell versus Arentz for the GSF Junior Championship. Oh, tag team match, Jack Bomb and Blaze versus Huli and Kara Kolta. Osuna versus Siegfried. Alright, cool. Oh my god. No, wrestling? My boss made me curious. Now I understand a little bit better as why 4 is in quotes. It's Jill. It really is Jill speaking for the cat. Nanocam is now making smart underwear. Ugh. What is this? If underwear you can change with the voice command was something you really wanted in life, Nanocamo has you covered. Already providing consumer versions of their advanced nanomachine fabric, they plan to release a line of underwear that can change its look with a spoken word. No more stains in your white panties. Ew. Just change its color to black and you'll barely notice. That won't change the smell. Exactly. Thank you, video game. They're not that advanced. We expect an increase in sales next year thanks to this innovative product. A PR representative told the Augmented Eye. I'm already using them. Super comfy if you ask me. Just thought about looking at prices. Did not. Danger Use admin has been arrested again. December 17th will come second retribution. But we're already what, December 18th? 19th? We had to stay a night in the bar. Famous hacker Alice Rat graced the popular text board Danger U with a new threat, which resulted in the arrest of the site's admin, known as Fur for a second time. We have no details to give other than that he was arrested as part of an ongoing investigation. Cybercrime units Lisette Blanc told the Augmented Eye, during a call, we are now busy tracking down the message that appeared yesterday. When inquired about the arrest, Furfer would only respond with a calm, not this shit again. Poor guy. Seems like a lot happened while I was gone. Apollo Bank is being attacked too. Media is still awfully quiet about it. Augmented Eye talked about it briefly, but very. Maybe someone lost their job due to that one rogue article. It was from Kim. She's always trying to write serious shit, but I think A got tired of her. Fucking shame. So all we'll get is clickbait from now on. Gonna get worse at the very least. White Knights say there's a lot of people inside the building. At least 3 people already dead. Ow, is someone there shooting people? It looks like the security from the building, but I've got no details yet. It sounds weird as fuck. Come on, Insider Anon, you gotta give us more. I'm doing my best here. Thanks, Based Anon. 3. Some deep shit happened right there. Explosion registered. And media's still quiet about it. Can confirm there's an explosion, but it looks like just one of them. So there's more bombs, not just one? That's right. Do we have any clue on who's doing this? I'm hearing from several sources that this is a group, a new one, looking to overthrow the government. No names have been mentioned, and it looks like not a group, but just one person who set up all this. That's pretty ballsy. And this is just a rumor around here, but Alice Rabbit might be involved. Ow! A hacker is helping out hostages to escape, and they're suspected of Alice. Huh. Someone doing stupid shit on the internet is actually being useful. Thread 4. Can confirm the situation's finally reached Zed. The attacker was shot dead, but a huge amount of data was released from servers all around the world. Remember the leaks from Alice? Those were nothing compared to this. Proof of corruption, money laundering, espionage. Pretty actually unsettling. Damn. The file is available from approximately 60,000 sources. Terabytes that contain all operations for the Glitch City government and the White Knight operations. It seems the ultimate goal from the attacker was not to blow up the bank, but lead hostages towards servers inside of the bank, which had files under several layers of physical security. That shit sounds whack. How do you even make a plan this complex? No idea, but that's what some of the witnesses are telling the police. Okay, it looks like I have to leave, but I'll try to write down all the details for a future post. Gonna need some time though. Godspeed, Anon. Thanks. And that one's it. Okay. No, will you read the file? Nah, I would. But then again, that's just me. A little strange that she hasn't updated her blog in a few days, but whatever. Just so that at least it feels, or at least will look warm, kind of. I could have swore I saw something about her wanting cute clay houses. No, I think she mentioned it in conversation. Alright, and another shift. Monday, December 19th. Gabe. Gil. Hey guys. How the hell did you get in? I have a copy of the key, remember? Wait, that's how you greet me after so many days? I never thought you'd be fine. If anything, I'd have to cut your paycheck for leaving for so many days without notice. See, Jill, he'll be here on Monday like nothing ever happened. Wait, why does he have a copy of the key and I don't? The need for you having the key never arose. True. Anyway, glad you're fine, Gil. Thanks, I guess. What? Are you gonna make me wash the bathrooms again? Not today. Listen, I don't know who the hell you really are or what's trying to come back to bite you in the ass. But remember, there are people that actually care about you. Don't just leave like you did. Especially after all hell broke loose. At least give us a sign that you're still alive. So you were worried. Isn't that normal? When it comes to you, I don't know. Shut up. She's right though. You shouldn't make ladies worry so much. Check if the cats didn't move the internet antenna, would you? Fine, fine. Hey boss, why did you leave the hoodie at my place? Because it's yours? But I told you you could keep it. Sorry, I couldn't find it myself to take it. Why? Partly because I didn't feel right taking it. But mostly because I thought you'd look totally cute with it. I see. Don't think I'm rejecting a gift of yours, it's just preserving cuteness is one of my principles. Right. Are you still worried about the whole bar closure thing? Of course I am. Not like I can't work because of it, but you know. All we can do is enjoy whatever time left we have here, whatever time we have here left, as best we can. Yeah. So cheer up. Clients smell sadness and fear. We don't want that. I'll go to my office. Okay. Antenna's fine. Did I miss anything? No, not really. Anyways, let's start the day. Alright. Time to mix drinks and change lives. Oh yeah, Gil? Glad to see you're fine. I mean it. Thanks. Excuse me, I'm looking for Dana Zane. May I have your name? Billiards Brian. Just a sec. Boss, some Brian guy is looking for you. Tell them I'll be there in a bit. Chill, you heard her. It's alright, I'll wait. It's weird for someone to come asking for her, though. It's not so weird when you're BTC's regional manager in these parts. Yeah, I guess that's... I guess I didn't give you the best first impression. Don't worry, I know who I'm dealing with. I'm not a fan of people treating me too nicely because of my position anyway. Handle me like I'm just another client. Alright, I can do that. What can I get you, Mr. Brian? Let's go with the basics. A sugar rush, please. God, why does he look so familiar? Coming right up. Sugar rush. Here. Yeah, this one's nice. Back in training, they made a big deal out of sugar rushes. Why? They're like the fried eggs of mixing drinks. Okay. They're the most basic thing, but people can still mess them up. Sugar rushes are simple enough that you only need to follow instructions. If you can't do that, your future as a bartender is not bright. Huh. They never told me that. You're Joe, right? Yep, that's me. Dana has talked quite a bit about you. Really? And I guess you must have a few questions for me, am I right? Mostly concerning the closure warning Valhalla got. Can you disclose any information? I shouldn't, but you have the right to know. Thanks. Don't mention it. Now, where to start? You saw the news on the information leak during the Apollo Trust Bank incident, right? About the White Knights having lots of members from criminal organizations in their ranks. Turns out the White Knights weren't the only ones with shady people. Some of those same folks have been trying to elude legal problems using BTC certified bars. The BTC bars have their own protocols, meaning the White Knights can't dig too deeply. At least not without going through a ton of paperwork first, giving the criminals time to cover their tracks. Although it takes a bit of time to set up, it has apparently proven an effective method for money laundering. Where does Valhalla come in? Young bars are the ones under the radar right now, and the modest to low income ones are the primary suspects. It's not just Valhalla. Any small bar with a small income is being investigated heavily right now. So the closure notice is due to low sales. Among the reasons a bar can get axed, low sales is the rarest one. If low sales were a problem, lots of bars would close every year. You'll find out soon enough, huh? Sorry? Oh, nothing. Don't mind me. Seems your guess was spot on, Gil. If it helps, I'm doing my best to appeal in your place. Really? Why? Most of Good City's bars are a pain in the ass, but they constantly give reports of chemical damage or shady drinks. This is one of the few places from which I almost never receive complaints. The closest thing to a recent complaint was that whole Farmer Fabrics affair from a little while ago. So much saliva. I wouldn't get my hopes up though, especially since the BTC will try to save face by axing as many suspects as possible. Knowing you're making an effort is enough. Thanks. Can I get you anything else? Now that I remember, the recipe book has a drink created here, right? Oh yeah, the suplex. Give me one of those, please. Sure. Let's give Brian a suplex. Four, 3, and 3. Here. The registry form said this was an accident while making a pile driver. You can ask the creator of the drink just over there. Ah, so you're Robert. Yes, that's my name. I'm Robert, the one and only. Jill called you Gil, though. Uh, it's Argentinian slang. Robert here is from Argentina, so we call him Gil. Argentina is from Argentina, so we call him Gil. True panic response. Huh, I see. Sorry, Brian. I was sorting some stuff at the office. Please come in. I'll be right there. Any other questions, Jill? Not really, no. Although... Yeah? If you were to evaluate my performance right now, how would you rate me? Clean and timely delivery of the correct orders. A top-notch bartender. Thanks. Now, if you'll excuse me. I'm surprised you haven't met him before. I received my training in another city. The regional supervisor there was some girl with a red mohawk. Ah, I see. I wonder what boss will talk to Brian about. Jill, was it? Ah, Miss Stella. What a pleasure. Are you okay? Yeah, just, call me Stella. And get me a big beer, please. Huh. Sure. On it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 2, 4, and 8. Are you sure? Are you sure you're fine? You know, Say, right? Of course. What's up with her? She was at the Apollo Trust Bank during that whole affair and... Oh. Right, that. So she didn't show up on the list of the massive body count in the aftermath, so I was hoping that maybe you've seen her. As much as I'd love to say that I had. Yeah, I figured as much. I really don't think this is the appropriate music for... I don't have the ability to look at the list. Man, the air is suddenly a lot heavier. I mean, I could tell her everything will be alright, but that would sound a bit condescending. What does one do in this kind of situation? Maybe a joke? Nah, that'd be tasteless. Okay, just try and say anything. At the very least, you'll break the tension. Maybe distracting her will be enough. I don't think clearly went under this kind of pressure, do I? There was a private eye here the other day. I? Sorry, I'm a bit on edge. A private detective, I take it. Yeah, maybe you'll want his services. What's his name? I believe it was Von Delay. Oh, that art guy. Yeah, I actually hired him yesterday, look for say. So you still have hope. I'm somewhere between bargaining and depression right now. I'm too afraid to let go of bargaining. I see. Is he any good? He doesn't look like it, but he's quite skilled at gathering intel. I believe he'll give me answers about, say, whatever they might be. Sometimes I wish I had a magic wand so I could solve all my problems with a swing, you know. Sorry if I'm making you uncomfortable. Oh, sorry, no. It's not about feeling uncomfortable. It's just weird. I usually try to say something to my clients when I see them down. And right now I can't find any words that don't sound hypocritical, useless, or tasteless. I'm glad to know that you have that much common sense at least. All I can do is get you drinks. Can I get you anything else? Something sweet. That'll help me calm down a bit. Gladly. Aged and mixed. 2, 1, and yeah, 1. What up, Sade? Played a few hours of it, but never finished. It's kind of a long game though. You gotta be invested in it. It's about like hanging out, just chilling out anyway. So you know. Let's see. Oh, there's a slight tinge of blue. There we go. Sparkle star. Here you go, lady. Here. Thanks. Seems you really like Say. I don't have brothers or sisters, and my social interactions are usually strictly business. Though Say's more than a friend to me, she's... Sorry I brought that topic up at a bad time. Don't worry about it. As I was saying, she's more than a friend, she's my emotional support. She's someone I can wholeheartedly trust. I'd say she's like my sister, but siblings usually lack that level of trust. I have to deal with high-class pricks of every race and upbringing on a daily basis. They use up business mask to hide anything they don't want others to know, and I do the same. But with Say, I can be myself. I can do whatever I want and vent all my frustrations. She's always been there for me, and now she might need me. But here I am, sitting in a bar making other people do that job because I'm a useless pile of flesh. Sorry about the outburst. I'm actually kind of jealous of the level of self-control you're using here. I mean, I'd be a mess if in that situation. Still, would you like some fresh air? I'm gonna take my break and you could use some. Well, for a given value of fresh. I'm fine, thanks. Okay then. Gil, please service Miss Stella while I take my break. Sure, leave it to me. But yeah, I get the feeling that this is a long game. It's fun, and just reading about this shit is actually pretty fun too. All the wild shit that everybody's going through in universe. All right, recalibrating again. Then like just the wild shit that that they just that they wrote in here. Quite flavorful to say the least. Alright, day 7. So like so far we've got like 7 hours in this game. Yeah. It's like a slow burn, chill visual type novel. Dialogue is very entertaining. Oh yeah. God damn, is it chilly outside. I'm back. Eh? What would a kid like you know about that, eh? I'm just giving you the facts as they are. What happened while I was gone? Let's see. Detective guy comes in, Cat Boomer girl greets him, they start talking. Everything was going okay until the girl mentions Ibatsu Core offhand. After that, the guy got riled up and started bad-mouthing it. Oddly enough, he was the only one. She just carried on like it was a normal conversation. I see. Oh, this guy. Yeah. Well, I won't deny Zaibatsu Core is anything but innocent. When you get down to it, it has enhanced the quality of life here. Yeah, if by enhanced you mean getting yanked around by a shiny new chain around our necks. Can't you see that those big companies don't care about us? Why do you think Glitch City is mockingly called the guinea pig of the world? We're just the one big test script for them to use however they want. But then again, I don't expect a kid to understand how hard it was, let alone a rich kid. True, I don't know, and true, I have a privilege that clouds my judgment. But can you deny that the meddling of Zaibatsu Core has brought quite a few benefits? Like what? The AI integration program they started is making huge advances in the AI department. Every day, more and more countries are seeing benefits of recognizing AIs as citizens. Yes, but we also hold the AI reformation program, meaning that we're also the world's little impression. AI went rogue, transfer it to a delivery drone, and ship it to Glitch City. That murderer is now delivering your pizza. Fair point. Although that program has proven to have reformed many AIs. They don't brag about the 88% success rate for nothing. The city also has a stronger economy. Zaibatsu Core's success has made them more and more companies bring the products here. And the gap between classes continues to grow. More companies just mean more people who will plant their feet on your face. But it also means more products are being brought to the lower classes. Stores have 20% more brand variety compared to last year. Zaibatsu Core's main medical research branch has also made lots of discoveries. More and more illnesses previously thought incurable are being addressed every day. It's amazing for those who can afford them. Meanwhile, down here we're experiencing medicine shortages almost every month. You have a point there. Oh, but there are also more jobs. All the companies coming down here need more personnel, so the unemployment rate has gone down by almost 40% this year. More jobs? Shut up. Am I wrong? Well, let's... Shut! Come on, tell me you fucking loses this shit and just fucking and just takes the L right here. Hey you, don't just sit there, give me a Zen star. Sure. Let's make a Zen star for the sore baby. Oh, that's so fucking funny. Like, that's, like every debate should fucking go that way. Just like, oh yeah, well, yeah, more jobs, blah blah blah, and then they just had to fucking sit there and just be like, shit. But like allow that shit to be aired unedited. Frustration and fucking red face and all. Oh, that'd be the best. Here. God, this is awful. It's your order, though. It's your order, though. I seriously hope you really don't believe everything you just said. Of course I do. Why else would I say it? You do bring up something I always fail to remember. All the benefits we've gained over time are limited to a few. I can talk about advances all I want, but in the end, it's still a luxury belonging only to a few. And even those that can be accessed by everyone are more like an improvement to the bigger picture. That doesn't take away from the fact that there have been positive changes. Credit what credit's due, don't you think? That's a pretty mature answer. Discussions are a way for two parties to understand each other. The only people afraid of discussion are the ones whose points are too fragile to defend against someone. Yeah, mature. Whatever. I'm gonna take the chance to ask you about that job I gave you yesterday. I haven't been able to find much, but at least I could tell you that she wasn't at the bank when it opened up. What does that mean? She must have gotten out. Either she left before the whole ordeal started, or she managed to escape at some point before the whole thing ended. All the corpses are accounted for. They found one totally disfigured, but witnesses identified it. It wasn't your friend, that much is for sure. I see. Did you call him here? No, he just so happened to come here today. The weird part is the girl did enter the bank. It's like she vanished or something. Nano camo. I see. Thanks. Keep it up. Your face brightened a bit. Hope is the last thing you lose, I guess. If he's telling the truth, Say might have found a way out. She's a resourceful girl. She surely did something. I think I'll have another drink. You want anything? Me? Just get me whatever you order. 2 bad touches, please. On it. On it. Sorry, wrong voice. 2 bad touches. Better make them before I laugh too hard. Whoops. Alright, just to be sure. 2, 2, 2, and Le 4. I remember this one party I went to. That guy came up with the name of this drink showed up. After people found that one out, they lined up to slap him for whatever reason. They didn't seem offended to me though. Imagine a guy shows up and tells you, I made a classy bad touch. Wouldn't you line up to slap him? Are you okay, Jill? I'm fine. Oh my god. I'm supposed to be 27. Now that I think of it, did you find that girl you were looking for a week ago, Mr. Vondelay? Turns out she was at the Apollo Trust Bank all this time. No wonder I couldn't get in touch with her. Girl. Someone paid me to look for Crimson Rose and she happened to be at the, What? I'm trying to avoid mentioning that a dangerous assassin got stuck in the same bank as the girl you're looking for. Oh, don't worry. Besides, the last thing I'm worried about with Say's people. Why is that? Or, sorry. Besides, the last thing I'm worried about with Say is people. And why is that? Her attitude is so laid back and gentle that she has no problem getting people on her side. And on the off chance that she has to defend herself, well, I once saw her take care of a war bot gone haywire by herself. She did need medical help afterwards, but she recovered in no time and managed to take care of the bot. Is she really that good? She's not only really physically fit, but she's also really good with Krav Maga and... Something wrong? No, nothing. I just realized I forgot all about that. Say's not invincible, but she knows how to take care of herself. And like I said, she's resourceful. She surely found a way out. Oh, I just hope she's well wherever the hell she is. She owes me an ice cream. I gotta be fair, she does. She actually does. You want another drink, Mr. Vondelay? It's on me. Are you sure? Yeah, order away. Okay then, I'll have a piano man. And you, Miss Stella? I'm fine. Get his order. One piano man for the detective. Two, three, 5. Okay, so 2, 3, 5, 5, and 3. Here. So this is what drinking something classy without worrying about the price feels like. Alright, I should get going. My contact will arrive at the rendezvous point soon. I'll let you know if I find out anything else, Miss Hoshi. Please do. Alright then. Yeah, right then. And he just leaves. You've been generous today. He made my night with his discoveries on Say's situation. I'm not totally over it, but at least I got distracted for a bit. I think I've had quite enough for today. How are you feeling? Better than when I came in at the very least. Thank you for everything. Please come again. Ooh, it's been quite the day. At least the streets are calm today. Oh. I have arrived yet again at the oh god, at the majestic Hall of Heroes. home until now. Oh, didn't I give this guy like the same fucking voice? My god, this dude was out of breath. Just walking? Fat Tandro Yagami over here. We meet again, bartender. You look winded, Virgilio. It's pronounced Virgilio. No, I'm pretty sure it's Virgilio. You said as much the last time you came. Pronunciations are a silly thing society opposes on letters. They want to be free. They want to be pronouncer they want. You look winded, Virgilio. We're all little toys winded by the cruel fate of a hand of fate. Just stumbling until it decides not to wind us anymore. And yet you're the only one in vicinity hyperventilating. That's, I was jogging. Dressed like that. I can jog however I want. Yes, you can. What can I get you? Something fake. Of course. Something fake. I don't give a shit, Windows. I'm trying to figure out a man's order. Alright, let's see. Ah! Okay, this one's pretty close to a real deal, meaning this is not, yeah, it's not a real beer, let's say, but... Traditionally, brew beer has become a luxury, but this one's pretty close to the real deal. I mean, it's the only fucking hint I have. Then he sounds kind of depressed, possibly. So one red, 2 yellow, a blue, 2 green, and then 4 light blue. There you go. Now, tell me why this is fake. Because I didn't even try. Your expectations of me giving a damn about the abstract order are fake. Bravo! Brilliant! Hey, Virgilio, where do you work? I take the noble duties of curator at the Steampunk Museum. Really? What do you do? Oh, this is really what he wanted me to like, to think about. But then again, it's not a real beer. It is alcoholic. Really, what do you do? I study everything that comes and keep it clean for the people that visit the premises. But lately my duties have been hindered by the museum's owner. Really? Yeah, he told me to stop touching the exhibits, you're gonna break them. The nervous people. Eh? He still fails to realize that I'm the curator there. Without me, all those machines would be rustier than they already are. Even the visitors that get that I'm the one responsible for those. Why can't the owner realize that too? Yeah. I bet he treats you like a janitor or something like that. Exactly. Okay then, time for your next challenge, bartender. Challenge, he says. I want purity. He wants purity. I can't give him pure ingredients, so... Wait. Maybe I can give him absinthe? That'd be funny. Maybe once... You know, maybe he wants a fringe weaver? It is almost pure alcohol. The Carmetrine. Unless he means something no alcohol, which would be kind of dumb. Yeah, give him a Zen star, because just 4 of every ingredient. Pure balance, I guess. Alright, whatever. Alright, let's see if this fucks him up. Because I really don't like dealing with him. One and 9. Oh, is this pure? It's a drink. It's free from any human sin. It can do no harm consciously. Ah, yes. Beautiful. Ugh. Hmm? Hey, you, that guy over there. Me? Yes, you. Have we met before? Can't remember. Maybe? Yeah, I think. No, we haven't met ever. At all. That's an interesting reaction. Yes, Dana, your sister is certainly cute. Can I leave, please? Fine. We discussed what we had to anyways. Careful out there. Thank God. A pleasure meeting you, Jill. Same to you, or Robert. Please come again. Bartender, have you done ogling up Mr. Holocaust suit? Would you mind giving me a drink? Sure. What do you want? I want to leave. Bye, bartender. Huh. Second time you ran off like that. He's either hiding here or would rather not be found by the police. What do you think, Gil? I know nothing of it. Of course you don't. Are we done for the day? Yep. Quite a few clients considering the whole situation. Oh shit, that Virgilio guy. So you two actually met before. Yeah, you could say that. What? What? Gil stuff, don't mind it. Are we talking about to Brian? Well, we were mostly catching up, to be honest. I hadn't seen him in a while. I offered him a drink when we last met. Well, we met last week. I talked about what to do after the bar closes. Oh, and I tried to explain the situation with Robert here. He agreed to help me out with that one when the time comes. Oh. I was also tuning up the details for the new employee. New employee? A part-timer. You'll meet him tomorrow. Oh. Him? So it's a guy. An adorable guy, if I do say so for myself. Aww. I suddenly have deja vu. Are you alright, Jill? Yeah. It must be nothing. Oh, hey. I actually got it fucking right. No mistakes. I suppose. So I figured out that dude's bullshit cryptic orders. So 0 mistakes, 30% commission, today's payment $384, tips is $11.50. Got ourselves $500 extra. Brian told me to give you this. Today's total transfer $25.34. So now we have $42.02. Yeah, we'll make $8,000 by the time payments due for electricity. The 24th. Yeah, we have enough. Jill bought herself what she wanted, and she's pleased with herself. She will surely focus at work. Oh, so whatever I bought this time, okay, so whatever I already have is probably what she wanted to buy already. Because so far I had prompts for the hollow plant, the fan, the song, and the Daruma. So the next one should either be the massager or the tea. But because tea appears in... Yeah, but because the tea appears in our bar menu, I don't think that's it. So I think what she wanted is the shoulder massager, and I just bought that on a whim. Like way earlier in the game, back during chapter 1. Oh, it's the 20th. Okay, we can make that much. Trying to remember where everything is. This is the latest one. Yeah, I'll save on this one. Oh, okay. It actually records what time I save. That's cool. No, 4. I need some me time. Use the bathroom. Alright, so we saved. We have what we need. And there's new stuff to read, but I can read that all on Wednesday. And we're drawing closer and closer to Christmas. Oh, hey, yeah, that's right. Christmas stream on Wednesday. So maybe tomorrow as well. Maybe on Tuesday. So let's see, about 7 hours now.